Hi, my name is Dina Rizzo, and I'm here with Chef Aisha B, who is founder of A Waters Productions and who is also presenting a show called Proper Bites that talks a little bit about generational cooking and shares recipes and helps people understand a little bit about the history of families and cooking and how everything comes together. And Aisha, could you tell me a little bit? Welcome, actually. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited. I mean, really excited. You are right. I am Chef Aisha B. The B is for beloved.
I love that.
A Waters production. I'm Aisha Waters, so it wasn't hard, but it was a gift. I'm super excited to present my first project. It's called The Proper Bite. And it's basically going to be a show or different segments about cooking, hospitality, or generational cooking,
Yes,
hospitality, and entertaining
I love
through storytelling, recipe sharing, and gathering around the table. I
that's
encourage that.
yeah. And so tell me a little bit about how that idea came about. Like, what was the driving force behind that?
well, I always tell people that I'm special because, well, in general, but my great
We know that.
grandma had a huge impact on my upbringing. Like I knew her for majority of my life into my adulthood, and she was born in 1915. So I feel like that makes me special, and there are other people out there who have shared that experience. Um, and I want to talk about it. I'm concerned that we don't talk about it enough. And since I'm concerned, I can address that concern. And I know it's out there and I want more recipes. I want to know like the methods behind or the reasons behind for the reasons why we do things when we make stuff. And I want to share that with people.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about why your grandmother. What were some of the things that made it stand out with her to bring this idea to fruition?
Well, today's her birthday, right? May 4th. Her name is May Ola. So I always say, May the 4th be with you. I'm serious. I do. It's one of my favorite things to say. And she's always with me. I've said for years that I think that the world could use a little dose of May. And she's always in my head. She did tell me to stay out the kitchen. And that plays in my head because I felt like she thought there's so much more to you than your recipes and your cooking. You're good at it, but I want you to share more. And so I was like, well, I'm super creative. Um, I have an experience where my old roommate, her mom showed me how to make rajma shol, which is like kidney bean curry.
Oh,
And she grated her onion, and I was like, I wonder why Miss Rena did that. And it was just the recipe. So like years later, when I was making it, I could have chopped my onion up, but I was just like, Rena grated the onion, so I'm gonna grate my onion. So I say that to say I know that there are other people who share those experiences. I want to have those conversations. I want to know why we let stuff ferment. I want to know, the story behind it. I to this day love white rice with just a little bit of Lowry sprinkled on it when I have
mhm.
my red beans because that's how May made them, and it's special to me. So I want to talk about that with a lot of people, and I want to get people back at the dinner table instead of eating in our laps.
I think that's fantastic. And one of the things that drove me to want to talk to you a little bit more was one of those things that you just said was bringing people back to the table and talking about the generational cooking and raising my children. I was always around the table. We never had a meal where we weren't sitting at the table. So that's really important to me as well. And I think that that's part of healing some of our families as we go forward. So yeah, that's
Definitely.
fantastic. So tell me a little bit about the like some other cooking stories that you can share with us.
Oh goodness. I have so many different cooking stories, like, and just thinking like my great grandparents are like, ever present in my head right now. Um, my parents and my family always let me try stuff. They let me do stuff. And I felt like I could redo a recipe probably since I was like 8. And I was just like, this is perfect, right? And yeah, so good. Mind you, Dina, one time I made frosting and I didn't have powdered sugar. So I used granulated sugar for my grandpa's birthday cake.
And
not a good idea. It's very gritty. But he said it was great. He said it was lovely. And he loved it. And of course, grandma had a cake for him too. But my cake was there. It wasn't like, oh, we're not eating that. It was just like, look what she did. So they always encouraged me to do things. I was always a helper when it came to being in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Part of the reason is it got you out of doing the dishes after the big celebration because you had helped prepare all the food.
Okay.
But getting to be around like the adults, they would have conversations, and as long as you were seen and not heard, you were okay. And that's different nowadays, but I got to just be in their presence. I got to see how we made the pinwheels for the appetizers. I got to see how my Aunt Tracy made her guacamole. And so it was fun, and it was like exhausting with a lot of work, but I felt like I learned so many recipes. And then I got to see how blown away everyone was with the presentation, right? Like when it came time to like, after we prayed, my Uncle Glenn would pray, and then we would like, take our turns going into the kitchen. And it was like such a smorgasbord of food, or so many different entrees, and so much love had gone into it. And then it got quiet in the house because everyone was enjoying. And that was like, it was like, oh, this is so good. And then moments later, there was a roar of excitement again because people were getting seconds, or we were putting things away or starting to clean up. But there was always a flow. And it was like that with my dad's family. And it was also like that with my mom's family. And so I want to hear more about that. I've gone through life and people are like, oh my God, that's crazy. I didn't do that. I had a small family. I want to have a bigger family now. Or people that have extended family, like all my friends are my family. I integrate them on purpose. And so it's like sometimes your family isn't who you're born into. Sometimes your family are your extended friends or coworkers who you got close with during the pandemic. And now that we're coming out of that, like, we might have dinner parties again. I love a dinner party. And I want to have conversations about your favorite memory dinner, like a dinner party, because my parents used to go to those. My parents used to host those. I remember going places and they were all dressed up, but we were in pajamas because we were going to go hang out with the other kids. Right. So, but that was like a party in itself for us. And that's an experience that I just want to talk about. It was good for me. It was nostalgic. And I want to bring that back, the normalcy of gatherings at home, right? Getting together, looking forward to that, and entertaining large and intimate groups. I want to talk about it all. I want to do that. I want to show me doing that.
Okay. And so if somebody was new to entertaining or new to cooking, do you think that you could guide them in helping them become more comfortable?
Absolutely. I have a friend who she likes to host parties. It never really turned out the way that she wanted. So it was like we started just hosting small events, right? Not a lot of people, but it's like she got people interested in coming to her house, and then people were telling stories about how much fun they had. It was 4 people, right? But then she built up, she worked her way up. Like if we started for like a little gathering of girlfriends for a summer party, by the summertime, she was hosting like a 4th of July barbecue. Now we weren't up to like 50 people yet, but 20 people, inviting 20 people and 15 showing up is a really successful party.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, I can do that. Like I have tips, I have tricks. I have spent so much time in the kitchen instead of at my party that I would never want another hostess to do that. It's hard to be the hostess with the mostest when you are covered in the food that you were preparing.
Right. Oh, we lost you there for a second. There you are.
Oh, no. So sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. No worries. So tell us about who your most, the clients that you're targeting. Who would be the perfect client for you?
The perfect client for me is the young lady that just moved into her apartment, the couple that just purchased their home, and they have memories of being at their parents' house or being at parties, and they want to do that with their friends and family. They are single people who have intimate groups of friends, and they don't just want to have them over for pizza rolls, or just have them over for pizza. They want to have like an event. So it's for those people. It's for the movers and shakers who haven't been able to move and shake about the world, and now they're happy being at home. And so they're like, okay, I want to invite a couple of people over. I want to do something, but I don't want us to just be sitting on the couch on our phones. Okay. So it's for them. It's for the people that are interested in entertaining. They're interested in having picnics in the park, but or lunch in the park. But it's not just on like people that want to have themes, right? They're interested in that, but they've never really explored it, or they have, and they're experts on it, and they just want to see what this girl from Sacramento, California has to say about it.
There you go. Perfect. And can you help people online, or is this something that you come to their?
You can. I as a personal chef, I do give cooking lessons. I've given virtual cooking lessons through the pandemic, and that's been awesome. People have booked me through Facebook right now, and because of that, I was just like, oh, this is a good idea. I have a couple ideas like in the works for like a curriculum later on, but right now you can book me for a private virtual session. You can book me for an in-home session. Okay. But yeah, from the basics, like I believe that everyone can cook in their kitchen. I just think it's about being comfortable in their kitchen, right? And so like I always tell people, like, you just gotta start finessing your kitchen.
That's exactly what it is. A lot of those, and I think that's another thing that really resonated with me when you talked about this idea, is that a lot of those, the hacks that you're talking about have been lost over the years. I was not raised in the kitchen. I was not raised being taught how to cook. I learned on my own, and I don't know near as much as what I feel I should. I don't know what to, put in place of other things. And follow the directions and pray. That's what I do. So I'm not creative whatsoever. And I have friends that have been very creative. So it's always very interesting to me to meet somebody who is the same way, that, you can make magic happen almost.
Yes. You can make magic happen, but it doesn't always have to be complicated. I can be very cumbersome in the kitchen. Like when I'm in the kitchen by myself, I'm okay with 19,000 steps. I'll take every one of them the first time. But I grew up, and like my mom and my aunt, they doctored up stuff all the time. They took shortcuts in the kitchen, and I was always like, you guys are letting them get away with murder. They can cook this from scratch, right? Do you know that my Aunt Donna's chili tastes amazing when she makes it from scratch? Y'all know this is a can, right? I couldn't say that because that's a hater. But that's what I thought internally. I was just like, you guys have got to stop letting them make it. My mom, she did it with Stouffer's lasagna. People used to brag about her lasagna all the time. And I'd be like, y'all know that she just doctored up the Stouffer lasagna. And they're like, what? I'm like, make her make a real lasagna, you guys. And they were like, this is good. This is good.
That's smart, though. So see, that's something that would be very, very helpful to say, maybe young mothers who have the family, they've got the work, they have all kinds of things going on, and they don't have time to think about that kind of stuff. So that would be really helpful. That's great.
And I think so. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get and I'm like, I guess, guys, but people appreciate not being in the kitchen for 19 hours, right? And I'm like, okay, it makes sense. And I've done it myself. I have an aunt who, depending on the size of the party, she doctors up potato salad. Like she'll buy a potato salad, she'll boil a couple of potatoes, a couple of eggs, and she spreads it. But I came from a generation of people who did that because, boiling X amount of pounds of potatoes to feed, 50 people is a lot of work, but doctoring up potato salad isn't that much work. It's less work. It's still work. There's still a lot of love that goes into it because they're taking their time, and then it just, kicks up the flavor a little bit. So those are things that they did that I was like always internally like, make it but as an adult in life now, I'm like, save me time, get me out the kitchen sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many, like nowadays, people just don't have the time to do a lot of that extra prep and all the things that it takes. So I think that's great. And I think the conversations about the generational shares and what you learned from your family is just amazing. I think it's a great idea. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you tell us, maybe share a little story, of a family tradition that you remember?
There's a lot. I am so fond of so many things. Even though I've lost loved ones now, I have so many memories to think about them with. I used to like polishing my grandma's silverware because we had silverware, and I thought this is the best job ever. Like, I don't think I would think that now, but I loved doing that. One of my favorite traditions used to be Christmas because it was like a two-parter. That looks like there's four, but it was a two-parter where it started in the morning at my grandfather's house, my mom's dad. His name was Paul Valentine. Imagine being a Valentine. And he would invite over our family, an extended family, and we would have brunch for Christmas. It was elaborate. We had tables and we had, all the fixings. Grits, eggs, potatoes, sausage, ham, danishes, pastries. It was a big event. And like everyone came over and they bought presents for all the kids and stuff. And it was so much fun. Wow. And it probably ended around 2-ish. No, probably later than that. It probably was supposed to end at 2-ish and everyone went home around 4. But what would happen is some of my cousins would come with my mom and I, and then we would drive to the Bay Area and we would spend Christmas evening with my dad's family. Okay, so it was like
I did it all over again.
It was like Christmas Day into December the 26th. Like we did eat late, but it didn't matter because it was just like we were up. I was with my cousins at my Aunt Laverne's house, which was huge. In my head as a child, I was like, she's this huge mountain. Like, and I would go and like some of my mom's family would come with us. And so it was so awesome for us to be blended that way. For me to celebrate Christmas with my mom and like our church family and our her family, my grandpa's family from North Carolina and things like that. That was so much fun. And then to get to go to the Bay Area and have this nighttime experience that was polar opposite. Because my dad's family is like from Louisiana. They eat real good Creole food. Of course, we had like traditional like turkey ham.
Totally different.
But it was totally different. It was so much fun. We stayed up late. They listened to blues music. They drank champagne. And so it was just like so much fun. Like you were, put your pajamas on, but you didn't go to sleep. And so those are the things that I remember. And so I, to this day, try to, now I go to stops at everyone's houses when I'm home. But every Christmas, like my family, well, most of them, they still make Christmas breakfast. They'll be like, hey, I made Christmas breakfast. We did dad's breakfast. That's my cousin Christina does that with her family. I've had brunch with my friends and invited them over for Christmas. And so it's something that we continue to do. And it makes me feel all warm.
So you do that now in your life for folks within your family,
I do. Like obviously I didn't do it last year, but in previous years, I've made breakfast or I've made brunch and I've invited my friends over. Like when I lived in California, I got to see all my godsons. And so it'd be like, hey, Auntie made breakfast, come over, or we should have breakfast at your house. And I would be in the kitchen, missing all of the activities. But it made me happy to feed all my friends and family. Like I was just like, I'll do it, no problem. I'll do it I'd be like, you should do this and this and this and this. They'd be like, you should do it. Okay.
I love that. So so you said they can book through Facebook, is that right? So if somebody
Yeah.
is interested in booking time with you, they could do that through Facebook, and we'll give them that. I'll make sure that that gets posted at the end of the video.
Okay.
And yep, so we'll work on that. And then where else can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Proper Bites.
Okay.
They can find me on YouTube. My name is Aisha B. If you don't find Aisha B, look for A Waters Production, because I'm going to change it soon because I have lots of ideas.
Okay.
So you find us on A Waters Production. Our website will be live soon, which is theproperbite.com. And Facebook is at The Proper Bite.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
YouTube, IG, Facebook, my website. I think I covered all the bases that I currently have.
That's fantastic. Great. Well, what we'll do is we'll make sure that that gets posted on the video, so everybody is able to find you whichever avenue they choose to use. Tell us a little bit before we close here. Tell us a little bit about the YouTube channel, because we didn't talk about that.
Okay, yeah, so the YouTube channel, right now there's a couple of videos on, they're kind of just like introductions. You can expect us to, the Proper Bite will post on Tuesdays. Right now we're in our conversations about generational cooking. We'll be posting some recipes. I'm gonna do a little bit of interacting from IG with little short tips and tricks. I'm gonna be responding to my followers for the things that they are interested in. I know someone said like they need some information about meal prep. So I'm going to be having conversations and then I will invite y'all into my kitchen. We'll cook a little bit. Definitely going to have y'all around my table so that we can have conversations.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to it, Aisha. I appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody's real excited about being able to join you and learn from you some of the tips and tricks that you've learned, and, you know, just maybe come in for a little bit of maybe morning breakfast somewhere, maybe not Christmas, but other days.
Yes, I love breakfast. It's like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Like probably one of my favorite meals to eat. I would say brunch because we incorporate a little bit more savory food. One of my favorite, I can tell stories all day because we're talking about breakfast. My mom blew my mind one time when she first made breakfast for dinner. I was like, does she know what time it is? Is she making eggs? And I was like, she's wild. She's wild. Having breakfast at night. Awesome. And I was like, this is so cool. I want breakfast at night all the time. And so that's one of my favorite stories. Now I know breakfast at any time is good and it's really convenient.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember my mom making breakfast for dinner and I was like, what in the world? What are we doing?
I was like, did she know? Of course she knows it's dark. But
it's dark out.
What's going on? This is I'm excited about this, but this is crazy.
Right. I'll share one story with you if it interests you with my mom.
Absolutely.
My mom, like I told you, my mom was not a cook. So you never knew what you were going to eat, right? This one time, my mom was on the phone. She had finished the steak, put it in front of all of us, my sisters and I, and we're sitting and eating. I put the steak in my mouth and I thought, this isn't good. This is not good. This is bad. This is really bad. My sisters were loving it. They're like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, no. So I made them stop eating. My mom's on the phone. She's on the phone with my grandmother, which she did every night. Every time we ate, my mom would be on the phone. And she saw me stopping them. You know, I thought the meat was bad. I thought we were all going to get sick. You know, and so how much faith I had in my mother's cooking.
Oh my gosh.
This is the cooking story for you. And it wound up being liver.
You were right. It didn't taste like steak.
He told us it was steak. It was nut steak. I knew it was nut steak. And that's it. She finally told me the truth.
That is a good
story. Yeah. I was thinking she was poisoning all of us.
Don't eat it, you guys.
I did.
I don't know what she did to this.
But don't eat it. This is not good. Don't eat it.
I
Not too
don't think
bad.
my mom ever made liver. I'm grateful that she didn't.
It's horrendous.
Um,
However, if you
you
ask my
know,
sisters, they loved it.
huh?
I said, if you ask my sisters, they loved it. I think it was horrendous. But
I don't. It's
yeah.
not. I don't think it would be my cup of tea. What I'm trying to think,
Mm.
if I've ever, I don't think I've ever had a no, because I was thinking how you make dirty rice, but that's with chicken gizzards. So
Mm.
no, I'm
Yeah.
so grateful, and I don't know. Maybe it's good, but I never hear great stories about it. I never heard, I want some liver. Oh, I wish I had some liver. That's never any statement I ever heard anyone say.
Well, my mother
That
did.
makes me that makes me think of my mom. She couldn't make dressing or stuffing. She couldn't do that. Um, and so she would make stovetop. And I just would not eat it. I'd be like, this, I already had an idea of what I thought dressing should taste like. My Aunt Berna made the best dressing that I still to this day have ever had. Mine's pretty good, pretty close,
Yeah.
but her dressing is delicious. And so I was like, well, this doesn't taste like Aunt Berna's. I'm sorry. And she was like, you're right. It doesn't. And I was like, may I not eat it, please? And she goes, you don't have to eat it. And I was like, oh, thank you. And so, yeah, that was like, she was in that regard. She knew she couldn't, it wasn't her jam. And so she was like,
Right.
you don't have to eat it. And I was like,
Oh.
thank you. And as a child, I was not trying to spare her feelings. So I just was like, oh, good, I'm not eating this.
I did the same thing with the liver. I'm like, no, thank God I don't have to eat this.
That
So
is so
I
funny.
absolutely understand. Well, I look forward to watching your show, and I'm sure everybody else will as well. And thank you so much for joining me here today. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank you for
Yeah.
having and thank you for sharing your story
Yeah.
with me. That's what I want. That's what I want people to do. I want people to I'm sorry. I want people to share their stories. I want to be a part of it, like, because it brings back memories for me
Mhm.
and it brings back memories for you. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're not going to go make liver, but you might think of
No.
your mom while you're cooking.
Every time I
And
cook
I think,
steak,
yeah,
I told my kids how lucky they were. Yeah.
yes,
So, yeah.
we
So,
are all lucky.
yeah.
I'm lucky to be here, and I really appreciate you asking me to do this interview. I was nervous. I was definitely nervous, but I was like, you know what? It's Mayola's birthday. We're gonna do this, and this is gonna be great. And
Well,
it has been wonderful. I actually want to do it again.
in honor of May, thank you so much for being here. And
Yes, ma'am.
we'll probably do this again soon, okay?
Sounds good. You have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
evening.
You too.
All right. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.